All right, so it is raining cats and dogs here today. So finally, the autumn weather has caught up with us. And of course, when you're on the freeway and you're like behind a truck with big old tires like that one, you're just getting kicked on. Okay, so now I'm a little bit better because I'm not behind that crazy truck with this trailer anymore. Good morning, this is Travel Chat. All right, this is Travel Chat. This is the show where I use my super long morning commute to talk through personal development, talk about the topic of the month, give insights into what's going on in my life, and all of that good stuff. So here in the Midlife Vibe Tribe, we are doing the topic of the month. And November was self-care and not self-care, was it self-care? It was self-love, it was self-worth. Oh my gosh, that scared me. That scared me so much. But December we're getting ready for a goal setting for 2020 and beyond. So our topic is believing the transformation. And the reason this is the topic instead of like 2020 goal planning or all the regular things that people talk about this time of year, like New Year's resolutions, winter solstice intentions, that's a new one for me. Last year I didn't do New Year's resolutions. I actually did the winter solstice intentions, and we can talk about that more. Actually, we can talk about it tomorrow even, because winter solstice, I have to look up and see when it is exactly, but I think on that day we'll do some intentions in case you're into that kind of thing. And then there's something really cool happening that I heard. I don't know, I'm not an astronomer or anything like that, but I heard that on the 12/12 there is the new moon, the full moon, if I could talk, the full moon. The moon becomes like the fullest at 12:12 a.m. So in the middle of the night, just after midnight on December the 12th, which I think is Thursday, the moon will be full. So that's kind of cool, like a little play on the numbers there, 12:12 at 12:12. So that's a good time, just because it's a weird coincidence, and I like to do things in tune with nature. So if nature's doing something interesting, I want to be in on it too, because I feel like the energy is the highest at that time. So I set my alarm for midnight, and I'll probably just get up and go see if I can see the moon outside, if it's not too overcast, and maybe just kind of say a prayer or set an intention, or even just solidify the goals that I already have. Like, just solidify the intentions I already have by saying something profound out loud at the same time that nature is doing something profound. I don't know, it's kind of like, how like making vision boards are like a craft day with God. That's what Jensen Cheryl said, and I thought, oh, that's so sweet. Like, it's a craft day with God when you make your vision board. Well, when nature is doing something phenomenal and you come out there and you join in doing something phenomenal, it's kind of like when you and a girlfriend go for coffee together and you're both talking excitedly about your dreams. It's like both of you are in line, you're on the same page, you're in alignment. And like the Bible says, when two agree on earth, then something magical happens in heaven. That is not a direct quote from the Bible. Anywho, so today we are talking about a wish, a hope, a goal, and a plan. I'm thinking, because did I finish my thought, why I was telling you all that? I don't know. Whenever I watch these things back, I'm like, I never finished my thought, which is kind of not great. Anyway, so a wish, a hope, a goal, and a plan. And I left out a dream, because we all know what that is. But when it comes to, I was telling about believe the transformation. I'll finish my thoughts. So instead of calling it like 2020 goal planning or something like that, we called it believe the transformation, because the most important factor to actually achieving any of your New Year's resolutions or any of the goals that you set for a year or the next 5 years is to actually believe that you can do it. If you don't believe that it's possible, then you won't be able to do it. Your brain wants to, it's like a helper. Your brain wants to reinforce what you already believe to be true. So if you believe that, like this example is always used in the personal development community, but the 4-minute mile. Before someone broke the 4-minute mile, no one could break the 4-minute mile. They thought it was impossible. They even thought that if you run a mile faster than 4 minutes, that your heart would immediately explode on the finish line. Like that's the craziness. Like your heart will explode on the finish line. So because of that, like nobody believed that it was even possible until somebody did it. And when that one person did it, other people saw them like, oh, it's possible. And then like 11 more people did it, like in the next year or something like that. Like a bunch more people just did it, right? And so since then, people break they run 4-minute miles all the time. And so the point is that if you can't conceive it, if you don't even believe that it's possible for you, then you won't be able to do it. So what we're working on now, and why pen and paper really help, oh man, and I printed out my vibe guide and I left it on my printer. Anyway, work is busy anyway. It's not like I'd be able to fill it out right now. But the reason that we're doing this on pen and paper is that there's something really magical about writing things down. When you see it there on the page, I think it may be because it just makes it real. If you're thinking of something, you're thinking of millions of different things all the time. You're always thinking of something, you're always considering something, thinking of something. There's always thoughts running through your head. But when you take the time and it doesn't take much time, and you just write something down, jot it down on paper, it's suddenly, you see it, you can read it back to yourself and say, oh man, like this is getting real, right? So that's why it's important to do it on paper. You will notice a huge difference in your success if you write down the goals, write down everything that's in the vibe guide, all the prompts. Even if you just write a little bit here, a little bit there, you will notice a huge difference in what you can accomplish by how much you write down. Hey Krista, good morning. Good morning. And so that is why we're saying believe the transformation. A lot of us have ideas and dreams and goals that right now are still in that wish phase. So we just wish that this could happen. I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. But a wish, even just the word wish, like it sounds like you don't have control over it. And that's the problem with just leaving your goal as a wish. If you leave something as a wish, it's almost like you're saying someone else or something else outside of you is necessary to make this thing happen. And that's not true. Even if you are a religious person and you believe in God or any form of a higher power, you hopefully you believe that power flows through you. Like that higher power is inside of you. It's part of you. You're connected to the higher power. It's not like it's over there and you're trying to somehow access it or trying to somehow convince it to look your way. No, I mean, even, in Christianity, the Trinity, the Holy Spirit is left with you. It's left within us to help us to be, connected to God still. So we all have something inside of ourselves, that God part of ourselves, that's helping us to achieve our goals. But if we leave something as a wish, we give our power away. We all give our power. You have no idea how much power you have. Oh my gosh, I could tell you stories. You have no idea how much power you have. But I'll tell you one story. Last week, I was like really upset about the security at my kids' school. And I was just like, oh, I'm so disappointed. They're not secure. Well, today I go there and I couldn't even get in. I couldn't even get in. I was like, what's going on? She's like, oh, we changed the keypad. We got a new code. I mean, like now it's like on lockdown over there. So I was like, and I know that when I have a strong intention and I focus on the right things, that I make things happen. And some people may just say, oh, what a coincidence, you were mad that the door was broken and now the door is fixed. But I know the power that I have in this universe, and I know that if I recognize the power, then I have more power. So that's a big part of it, is recognizing the power that you have, and then you can create even more power in your life. Energy flows where energy goes. So that's just one thing. So, but if you have a wish, then you're just like hoping, that somebody somewhere helps you out, which takes all your power away, which brings me to hope. So hope is fine. Hope is okay. Hope is positive, right? You can hope. We have every reason to hope. Hope is a little stronger than a wish, because at least, hey Brandy, hey Mona, good morning. You guys logged on at the exact same time. So jinxies. Kidding. But when you hope, it's a little bit stronger than a wish, right? Because a wish is just really like, when you say I wish something would happen, you just really do not believe that thing is going to happen, or that you have any power or control over it. But when you hope that something is going to happen, it's a little bit stronger of a sentiment, right? It's a little bit more power behind it. Hope often comes with praying. I hope and I pray. And that has a lot more power behind it than just a wish that's just like a shot in the dark. Well, let's just see. But if you hope that something's going to happen, you're thinking about it a little bit more strongly. You put a little bit more emotion behind a hope than you do a simple wish. It's a little bit stronger of a sentiment when you actually move from a wish to a hope. And for that reason, just for the fact alone that there's a little emotion behind it, makes it stronger and actually gets the attention of the forces that move mountains for you. It gets that attention a little bit more. But then if you move to make something a goal, now it's almost in a whole different category, right? Like if you look at a wish and then you look at a goal, it's like a wish is something that is like, I don't know, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I have nothing, I can't do anything about it. But when you look at a goal, that almost completely sounds like a one-man show almost, right? It sounds like this is something I'm doing. This is a goal of mine. This is my goal. Even if it involves a lot of other people in your life kind of, lining up, for things to happen the right way for you, that goal is such a powerful idea, because it means that I am taking it upon myself to make something happen, right? And so New Year's resolutions are goals. The problem with New Year's resolutions is that we don't have any step beyond just identifying what we want. And that's where we fail. So, one way to create goals, they're called SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, all this stuff. I don't make SMART goals so much because it feels like an exercise. Like, I don't know, I think if I really think about it, I probably had a bad experience in like a leadership class or something, like creating these super powerful SMART goals and then like failing miserably, not even getting to step one, because that's not where you start. That's not where you stop, right? So you can have a goal and you can turn it into a SMART goal. Like, you can pretty up your goal however you want to, but that's not going to make it happen, right? So you can have a goal. You can have something. You can say, I want to lose 35 pounds by, May 15th of 2020. Okay, great. Good luck with that, right? And then you hear crickets, and then you stop eating meat for 3 weeks, and then you binge on pumpkin pie or something, and that goes out the window. So it's a whole different feeling when you set a goal. At least you're getting like more stronger in your language and stronger in your intention, but you're still not gonna make it happen just by having a goal alone. The magic step to changing your life is having a plan that is bellissima. Once you have a plan, so you've taken this thing from a wish, something that you just thought, like maybe for years and years, like, well, I wish I could lose weight. vague, right? I wish I could lose weight. And then you go to having hope. Like, I hope this is the year. I hope and pray this is the year that I lose this weight for good. And then you go to having a goal. I will lose 35 pounds by May 15th. And then you have a plan. And your plan is going to make the difference for you, because your plan is going to be the thing that gives you the steps that you cannot deny. Right? And so the way that you make a plan for something big to be attainable is that you break it down to the tiniest steps. That sounds crazy, right? It sounds like, who would do that? Only you would do that, friend, because you have a little OCD and you're crazy and you like to plan. But really, like, if you have a problem with procrastination, this is the cure for procrastination. You take a plan, like you take this goal, right? Your goal is like, I'm going to lose 35 pounds by May 15th. And you break it down to tiny steps. Okay, what do I have to do? And it can't be like, eat right and exercise. No, it has to be specific. You have to break it down until you, like, the step is so undeniable that you may as well do it right now. Like, it takes 10 minutes or less. And me and Diane have been doing this STEP program. It's called STEP is an acronym, and it's funny, I don't even know what it stands for. I don't even care. I just know it works for me in my life. We'll talk about it like maybe in March or something like that. We'll do an organization month. But it's basically, there's a context-based next action list. And your next action list, they're called your immediate next actions. And it's basically, when you plan your week, you have a bunch of action steps, action items that'll take you less than 10 minutes to perform. And when you have like a free, like just a few free minutes in your life, you know that these steps will only take 10 minutes. So in your head, it's like, oh, while I'm sitting here, let me do this real quick, because I know I can do it in 10 minutes. And if you happen to have, like, you know, it's Saturday and you have like an hour, then you can get like 6 of those things done. You just know that they're broken down to the tiniest steps. It's not like you have to sit down and you have to figure out, okay, what are the steps to this project? What can I do? Blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, your time is up. So this has been working magically for me. And I think Diane has been having good luck with it too. So if your goal is to lose weight, you know, by mid-year or whatever, the date that you pick, and you want to make an immediate next actions list, then every week you sit down and you decide what am I trying to do this week, and how can I break it down into the smallest detail. So I've been experimenting with meal planning. Now, ever since I realized that I binge eat, and that video was like last Friday when I told y'all that I now have a name to it, I have power over it. I binge eat, right? Once I realized that, it actually let me see that my confusion about food and meal planning, because I'm always like, I don't know what to eat. Like, it's a big deal in my life. It has been for years. I don't know what to eat. I don't know what to feed my kids. I don't know what I'm doing around food. And I realized that confusion was just a strategy. That confusion was just a way for me to like keep having this issue with food. Like, it's just a symptom of a bigger issue that I have with food, like overall, not just, because how can you not know what to eat? Like, duh, I mean, food grows from the ground, right? But this was part of like an entire thing, that I have a whole relationship issue with food, right? So just like I had a relationship issue with money and a relationship issue with time, I'm learning more about myself. I have a relationship issue with food, and the only way that I can get past it is by giving it some attention and figuring out where to go from here. So anyway, so when you look at your week and you say, okay, like, I'm trying to meal plan, and so I say, okay, so this week I'm going to plan my meals. Well, don't do that. Don't stop there. Because if you stop there, when it's time to plan your meals, you may be rushing around getting the kids, doing whatever, and you kind of like, and you don't have enough time, and by the time you sit down, you start making your grocery list, it's just, you've run out of time now, you've stretched yourself out more, so then you just drive through, and now, your whole goal for losing weight is just shot, because you just didn't try to do too much. So what you do is break it down into the smallest possible steps. So I've been using the Walmart app, the Walmart grocery app. And so instead of making a grocery list, I'll just search for what it is and put it in my shopping cart on Walmart app. And so one of my routines is on Wednesday, I trigger it. So I check out. And I choose the time I'm going to pick it up. Like maybe I pick it up Wednesday night or Thursday night after work. So I just drive up, they put it in the back of my car, I keep it moving. So that's one thing that I've done to make sure that I'm not impulse shopping and I'm not ever in a position where like we are out of groceries because I haven't gone to the grocery store, and now we're driving through and I'm sabotaging our diet plans and all that kind of stuff, right? So that's the goal. So I break it down to little steps to say, trigger the grocery list on Wednesday. Other things like exercise. So y'all know, if you know me, I am not about stressing myself out about exercise. So I say it's 15 minutes. 15 minutes is very quick. And 15 minutes includes all the little breaks that you take, the little 30-second breaks you take in between, because I like to lift weights. And I take the little breaks in between, I do like a circuit, like I do 3 exercises, and in between each different exercise, I take like a 30-second break, and then do the next, and then I do them twice, because I'm not trying to stress myself out. I'm just trying to make sure I get some activity like intentionally into my day. So I set that as part of a routine. And sometimes I make it, sometimes I don't. And it's not like that's the only exercise I get in my day, because I am walking across campus. So I don't really beat myself up too much over it. But I do set that as an intention, because I know every little bit is going to move me closer to my goal. Now, this is just an example, like this isn't my goal, but just to kind of illustrate like how you can do this. And I'll give you another example that'll probably work more, because it actually is my goal. Is actually know what I'm talking about probably. But when you know what your goal is and you want to make a plan for your goal, then you'll know what those little steps are. Like you'll know when you're down to the step. You'll break it down to the point where it's just ridiculous that you don't do it, right? Like it almost takes longer to put it on your list than it does to just do the darn thing. And with this step program that we're doing, they say if it takes 2 minutes or less, just do it right then and there. Like don't put something on your list that's going to take 2 minutes. And if we really break down our goals and turn them into a plan, a lot of those steps just take 2 minutes. It takes 2 minutes to call up whatever and cancel and cancel your cable service or whatever. It takes like 2 minutes to do that. But instead, we spend like all this time thinking about it and, saying, I wish I could have more money. So if you wish you can have more money, then you hope that this is the year you get out of debt. Then your goal is to get out of debt. Then your plan is to call and cancel the cable, because that'll be another $140 that can go towards your debt. You can pay off your debt. You see where this is going. Okay, so right now, a goal of mine, so I'll start from the same thing, from a wish, right? So I wish I could have a website that people could go to when they hear about me, or if they see a video, or if they see my article in Plan and Grow magazine. I want to have a website that they can go to and actually learn all about me and learn all about the stuff that I'm doing in my free time. And I wish I could have a beautiful website, right? That's my wish. Well, that ain't gonna happen. You can already tell right now just the way it sounds. That's like good luck with that, right? But if I say I hope, I hope and I pray that I'm able to create this website. I know I don't have a lot of time. I know I basically have maybe the evenings and the weekends, but I just hope. I'm looking at this Tesla, and our nurse practitioner drives a Tesla, but she drives it while she's asleep. That's her. And I'm just making sure that I get out of her way, because this girl talking about she go to sleep, honey. She said when her hands fall off the wheel, it jiggles. I'm just like, let me not be on the road with you, because I definitely don't want to be riding with somebody who is asleep in the lane next to me. But she's awake right now. I just saw her. But I'm still getting out the way, because I don't know, maybe she just woke up right quick. So anyway, so then if I say I hope, I hope I can create this website in my free time. I hope that I can design it and make it look nice. Even though it's a DIY, it's amateur, I don't want to pay somebody to make it. I want to make it myself. I hope I can do it. So that sounds a little bit more concrete, right? It's still like sinking sand, but at least it's better than a wish. A wish sounds like I'm not even going to try. And then you go to a goal, and I say my goal is to have my website the way that I want it, because this will be like the third or the fourth redesign. Like every time, it's probably procrastination, but I keep changing it based on. Right now, it's just totally under construction, but it used to be, perfect for the purpose that I had it. It served the purpose, and now I have a different purpose for it, so I'm redesigning it. But it's in process. So my goal is to have it redesigned to the purpose that I want to use it for. Let's say, okay, like by February, I guess I could say, because it's not a rush, right? Like there's no hurry, and I have some other priorities ahead of it, but it's on the list. So I'll say by February. Just say by February 1st. And so that's a goal. And so it's like, okay, great, but don't stop there, because if I stop there, I'm going to be overwhelmed, because I'm going to keep saying, my goal is to have this website up. My goal is to have this website up. And then it's like a big project, right? It just feels big. And so it's hard to move on something that feels big. It's just hard to even get started because it just feels so big. So when I make a plan for it, and I break my plan into little action steps that I know will take 10 minutes or less, then the next thing I have to do is, if you're starting from scratch, it would be like, go online and buy the domain, go online and go like to Canva and create a logo, get a notebook and sketch out the way the front page should look. It should be based on StoryBrand. So I've read StoryBrand 500 times, so it's easy to kind of sketch out the StoryBrand framework. But if you hadn't read, like if this was your goal, I'll say myself, if I hadn't read StoryBrand, then part of my plan would be read StoryBrand. And so since I listen to books and not read them, it would be, in all my free time, I would listen to StoryBrand in my ear. And so that would be my first step. And that takes longer than 10 minutes, but not necessarily, because if I only have 10 minutes at a time, I can listen to StoryBrand for 10 minutes at a time. Hey, Sandy, good morning. So that's not an unrealistic little, like an immediate next action to put, because that can be less than 10 minutes. Just listen to StoryBrand and keep listening in 10-minute intervals until you're done. And then go ahead and sketch out, the front page of your website based on the StoryBrand framework. So all these little actions, you just break it down until it's so small that it's undeniable. Okay, let me take my phone down. Because I'm going through a school zone. Oh, hello. Once you have all of these little steps, all of these little less than 10 minute, I was about to say tasks and activities, or tactivities could be a word too. But once you have all these little bitty steps that will take you like 10 minutes or less, and you have them like in a notebook or in a paper in your happy planner, it's like, dude, whenever you have a free minute, you just look at that and be like, I can do that real quick. Like I can tick that off. And the next thing you know, you're getting closer and closer and closer to your goal. And it's not just a hope or a wish or a prayer. Like you're actually, these little bitty steps are getting you closer, because small actions taken regularly on a daily basis will lead to big results. Something that feels ginormous is just a million tiny 10-minute tasks. You can do anything. It's like that quote, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's it. One bite at a time. You can't eat the whole thing at once in one big gulp, just like you can't sit down, even though I have done this before, but it was crazy. sit down and one day and design your whole website. You have to do one tiny piece at a time. And then you have to go back and look at it and see, you know, sometimes you have to sleep on certain things and let it sit with you a little bit. I mean, it's a fun activity, but it takes some time, and you can't have unrealistic expectations about it. So that's what we've been doing, and so I wanted to share that with you in case that would help you get unstuck on something. And the other thing that I would recommend that you do is for each project, take the project and take like a full sheet of notebook paper and brainstorm all the tiny steps. Just brainstorm all the tiny steps of your project. And the way me and Diane have our mastermind, we have three goals going on for a quarter. And one is a project goal, one is a revenue goal, and one is a self-care goal. And when you have your project goal, I just have a sheet of notebook paper, and I got this from the STEP program, so it's new for me. But I have my entire, my brain dump of what it would take to create this project. And if I get to a step, like if I'm writing down a step and it feels kind of big, then that means I have to break it down even more. So one thing I want to have done by the end of this year, I want to have my budgeting course live, because I created my budget diary in January, and I've, done all these iterations to the free course that goes with it. And I want to have the course that's in my head out there for people to have, because you can get it for free when you buy the budget diary. So, one of the tasks is to make the slides for the course. Well, make the slides for the course is a big, scary obstacle for me, because that feels big. That feels like that's a lot, right? So the way that I get over procrastinating about making the slides for the course is I break it down into the tiniest possible task you could do. I mean, just short of saying step 1, turn on computer, like that, right? So the tiny task would be go to Canva, create the background for the slide. Or even smaller than that is research or Google the size of the slides you need for PowerPoint, or look on PowerPoint to find the size of the slides. Like, break it down to the smallest thing, so that even if you just have a free moment, you can just Google that real quick, find the size of the slide, put that down on your task list, so that you have that, so the next time when you are sitting in front of your computer and you're able to create the slide, you already have the size, right? I hope this is making sense. I hope you get it, that it's just, you just do a little bit at a time, but you do it all throughout the day, all throughout your free time, and you start to move towards your goal. And once you start moving towards your goal, that's when you start changing your life. Because Diane and I have been doing our mastermind since September 11th, and we have ticked through, I gotta put my phone down and stop talking to y'all for a minute. Okay, I'm going through a little tiny town. We've ticked through like projects that we finished, goals that we finished, things that we're on our way to finishing. Like, we're actually being productive, because number one, we're super supportive of each other, but also we figured out how to like break these things down into tiny steps, so we can just like, boom, that's done, boom, that's done. And Diane has been on her debt-free journey. And, I was on my debt-free journey. I met her because she got the budget diary, and we were in SOS Club together too, even before that. But we became really close friends, and so I think she's paid off like 2 credit cards by now. And it's just like, that's the kind of progress that doesn't happen overnight. It's the kind of progress where you say, I have this credit card, it's stressing me out, I want to pay it off. And then you just do these tiny things. Like, every month you do the small things that matter. And then boom, one day she was just like, I paid off my credit card. And, so exciting. It's super exciting, just because you start to see progress and you start to see your life changing. So paying off a credit card, now she's paid off 2 credit cards, I think. That's like a small step. That's a that's part of a plan and the big goal is to be debt free, and that is like part of the plan. And so once you tick that off, it's like, oh, it's huge. It's huge. So that is the difference between a wish, a hope, a goal, and a plan. So I am fully confident that you guys are not just gonna set New Year's resolutions this year, or just like not do any goal setting at all. I know that you're not only gonna do that, but you're gonna actually take it a step further and put some meat on the bones of those goals and put some plans in place and start to tick off those things day after day after day. You would be surprised. Oh, I want to say this one last thing. When you get your so you get a full sheet of paper. At the top, you put what your project is. Like me, like create the budgeting course. Down below, I just list all the steps I can think of off the top of my head that would go into making the budgeting course. And I would, if something feels big, I'd break it down even further, and I just put all the steps that I think, because I haven't done it yet, so I have to think about what could possibly be needed. And then every week I pull a few of those off. So every week I take, like 7 of those little immediate next action steps and put them in my planner to say, okay, whenever you get a free 10 minutes, this is something you could do to move yourself closer to that goal, right? And so if there's like, 30 of those kind of 10-minute tasks for my project, if I take 10 of those a week, then I'll have this project completed in 3 weeks, right? And a 3-week completion of something that feels big is way better than 3 months or 3 years, or guess what, never. Because sometimes we have goals and we never get them completed because we just don't get that step from taking it from something I wish I could do this with my life to now I have a plan and I'm just doing this tiny little thing every day to make me get towards my plan. All right, so I hope this helps. Leave me comments and make a post. I'm always inviting you to make a post. If you have, anything to add to it, or if you want to show your progress on a project that you're working on, or even leave your New Year's resolutions, your goals in a separate post. And don't forget to download and print out your copy of the December Vibe Guide. If you were watching us on Saturday when we did our live, me and Brandy did the live goal setting session, that is when the name Vibe Guide was born. We were like on camera and I'm like, what can we call it? And so that's when I was like, I was thinking the other day about Vibe Guide, and it sounds cool. So the Vibe Guide it's going to be a monthly thing. This month, actually, I had a whole different plan for it this month, but if I added in what I was thinking, it would be like super long, and I don't want to set the bar of like, oh wow, the Vibe Guide's going to be 20 pages every month, because it's not. If you saw, November didn't even get made yet, and it would probably take me 10 minutes to make the November Vibe Guide. I'm still going to make it because I still think it's valuable. But if you like to plan like me and you like to write intentions and set your intentions on paper, which is magic, like I love to do that, then you'll definitely love being part of this group, because I plan to have every single month a Vibe Guide for us based on what our theme is for the month. So go and check out the December Vibe Guide, print it out. I think it's how many pages is it? I can't even remember now. It was like midnight when I did it or whatever, and I printed mine. I left it on the computer, on the printer. But yeah, so fill it in. You feel free to post pictures of your pages once you've kind of filled them in. Have fun with it. It's all about fun. It's not anything that you're turning in for a grade. It's not anything that somebody's going to judge you on and say, oh, you did this wrong, or you did that wrong. It's all for you to like have a record of the fact that you're working on yourself, and when you look back on it December 2020, you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe that this is how far I've come. It's amazing. So definitely complete the exercises, have fun with them, and I will see you tomorrow, if not sooner. I don't know, sometimes I like to pop on in the afternoon, but I'm supposed to be at work, so probably won't do that. Bye.